Oh, man. I am overwhelmed
by what God is calling on me to do and be in this world. I'm being called on in my life
Somebody get him some water, please.
to love people.
in this time in my life, in this moment. Sorry. I really just want to say to all of you, thank you for entrusting me with your mother.
What did he just say?
Check the prompter.
The prompt is fine.
Read the copy, please. The copy's good. Just read it.
I saw the secret, scary, hard places that your mother didn't, your father didn't do it alone.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. Chris Rock has finally broke his silence in a way about the infamous Will Smith incident, and people are speculating that it may be a reference to a possible upcoming lawsuit or a book or a comedy special, all in relation to it. It's actually insane. Obviously, Will Smith's life has completely fallen apart since the incident, but you know, Jada's still there, I guess, if you call that a win. You know, back just Friday, Will Smith responded to his 10-year Academy ban. Now, he had a 10-year ban for obviously the incident, a hilariously weak sauce punishment for a guy that walked on stage in front of 20 million people and put his hands on somebody. And apparently that's a thing that is okay. I mean, people on Twitter and other places were even essentially saying that it was unfair that he even got that. People were celebrating this dude's behavior, which is hilarious to me. Will Smith, of course, has responded now to the Academy's decision to ban him from events for a decade, writing simply, quote, "I accept and respect the Academy's decision," he said in a brief statement to Page Six Friday. Smith's response came minutes after the Academy of Motion Picture Arts Sciences announced that it was banning him from all of the organization's events for 10 years. But again, this penalty is absolutely limp from like literally Jump Street. It's pointless. It does nothing. This is not an event that Will Smith normally attended. This is not an event that I think Will Smith was eager to attend. And it wasn't an event that, you know, Will Smith is not going to get a lot of Oscars. Okay. He got an Oscar mostly because of the role he played in this, not necessarily his acting, I don't believe. But, you know, so this is ridiculous. Then a bunch of people wrote some op-eds saying that, you know, he should essentially give back his award. And I don't exactly disagree with that, since that's been my position since Jump Street. There was an article that came out this weekend saying by Harry Lennox, Will Smith must return his Oscar to restore the award's honor. This was a guest column by apparently an Academy member. I have no idea who he is. You know, that is not like to disrespect him. But he writes in his rambling remarks, Smith said, "In this time in my life, in this moment, I am overwhelmed by what God is calling on me to do and be in this world." This attempt to explain his actions added to the travesty of his ethical catastrophe. In couching his acceptance speech as somehow submitting to the will of God, Will Smith abdicated personal accountability. Smith's brutality stripped the entire evening of its prestige. That was proven when stunned Oscar attendees gave a standing ovation to someone who had just committed assault in front of their eyes. With one deft blow, Will Smith created an existential crisis for the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. The incident was such a jolt to societal norms that it will gnaw away at our national conscience until somehow properly atoned for. Smith, who resigned his AMPAS membership in April 1st, was quick to accept his punishment of the 10-year ban when announced on April 8th, but there's more he should do. Given the coarseness of pop culture in the age of social media, it was no surprise that much of this year's Oscars proceedings were frequently profane. But it's an insult to the honor of God to assign him any part of the tawdry experience. To argue that some deterministic force was at play to deny the sad fact that the affair was purely human. The stain on the Motion Picture Academy cannot be easily remediated. The only hope for a justifiable grace must involve Smith voluntarily returning his Best Actor award. And, I think that he should have been forced to give it back or had it rescinded. A lot of people on the Twitter.coms were getting all up in a bustle over the weekend with whataboutism, saying, well, this Roman guy still has his, and so does who's the other one? Harvey. They have his, so why should Will have to give his back? As if we wouldn't all agree that they should give theirs back too. Just because you've made decisions before, made hypocritical decisions before, it doesn't really justify continuing to do it. But that's Twitter logic, which is, you're not dealing with the highest IQ individuals. But Chris Rock did finally break his silence and said he's not going to talk about the Oscars incident until he, quote, gets paid. Many people thinking that he's referring to some sort of lawsuit. Chris Rock has finally shed a smidge of light on how he feels about Will Smith's event at the Oscars, but he said he won't reveal more until he receives one thing: cold, hard cash. The comedian told a live audience Friday that he wouldn't be talking about the Oscars until he was compensated, presumably meaning somebody ponying up for his exclusive account. This, according to a report from the Palm Springs Desert Sun, which details his set in Indio, California, and the material reference as Chris continues his national comedy tour. Here's what he said: I'm okay. I have a whole show. I'm not talking about this until I get paid. Life is good. I got my hearing back. I'm not sure exactly if he's referring to, losing his hearing from getting slapped. I don't know. Or if he had some other condition. The strange thing is, if Chris means he's waiting on a network or some sort to pay him for a sit down, you got to imagine he and his team have already been approached by every broadcast company in the game at this point. Maybe they just haven't offered enough. Of course, another slightly more sinister way to interpret his remarks, perhaps he's talking about a civil lawsuit against Will himself, where he could potentially get paid in that way too, or he might be joshing altogether. It's unclear how serious the comment is, but considering the context, Chris seems to be in good spirits. No, he's definitely talking about, getting paid. Now, I can't say, he's talking about specifically about a lawsuit, but he's definitely talking about, he's definitely serious in that he wants to get paid if he's going to talk about it. Like, that's without a doubt. Like, just, you could see David Spade, a friend of Chris Rock, saying to get his take on the Will's decade ban, which had just been handed down. David actually seems to be okay with the punishment, saying that the movie hunters had to do something, and this seems fitting, but when pressed on whether it was too harsh, he scoffed. In Dave's eyes, not being able to attend the ceremony or vote for future flicks doesn't really come off as a major consequence. He himself says, who cares? David Spade also reveals if he's spoken to Chris yet, and indeed he certainly has. He refused to dish on what his buddy thinks, though, respecting the guy's confidence and privacy. As for what he thinks the Academy can do to make it up to Chris Rock, he's got a hilarious response. By the way, just to give you a sense of how close David is with Chris, check out, he's got his podcast experience with Fly on the Wall. Back in January, we were hosting Dana Carvey and, this and that. Obviously Chris is going to parlay this into some big money, and he may actually be talking about a lawsuit now. For an exclusive sit down, I'm not sure that Chris Rock cares that much. I don't think he wants to do some sort of like misty-eyed reliving of the event. I think he's actually talking about considering suing him, like legitimately considering suing him, because, you know, I think he could probably win some amount of money. You know, the event happened. There's no denying what happened. The trouble will be, you know, proving that there's some sort of damages, or that, you know, Chris Rock has some sort of long-term damage that needs to be remediated by a lawsuit. But it's interesting to see him put this, you know, you see Insider, you know, so I'm not talking about until I get paid. It comes after Rick, you know, Rock was, obviously we know about that. I don't know. This is kind of probably the end of the road for it. I would imagine that Chris is probably done talking about it until he gets, you know, I don't think he's going to sue him, but maybe he is. I don't know. Kind of the street cred kind of part of suing over a slap. I would support it for obvious reasons, but I'm not sure Chris would want to. And ultimately, although, I mean, he could win. Look at the lawsuit that's going on between Johnny and Amber. That's $50 million. Chris could probably squeeze a nice little sum of money out of Will. It'd be interesting to see if he announces something in the coming weeks. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.